All right, hi everyone. This is week 3 of reNEW, and this is the core and restore portion of the program. So we're going to go over the core work first. Definitely have a mat or something soft. Carpeting is perfect. Make a space for yourself. We're going to do 7 exercises. And we're going to do them 2 times through. So the second time through, you really can hone in on those muscle groups. That'll take about 15 minutes. And then we're going to dive right into the restoration, mainly focusing on the lower leg. All right. I will have a timer, so I keep myself on track this time. And we're going to start facing the mat, facing down, doing a push-up and doing a shoulder tap. All right. I'll get my timer going. Get to your space. I got my timer. 50 seconds. We are doing a plank with an opposite shoulder tap. Okay. Make sure you're pressing through the floor, lifting up, contracting your quads and your glutes, and you're pushing through your heels, and you're going to shoulder tap. Ideally, there's not much sway as you shift your weight. Trying to keep your spine straight. If you need to, you can always drop to your knees. Good. Good. The second exercise, we're staying in that plank position, but we're going to drop to our forearms. We're going to do rotating hip dips. So we're going to go from side to side. We're going to dip, come back, dip, and come back, dip, and come right back up. Good job. Dip and come back up. Good. We're going to get onto our backs. We have a dynamic glute bridge. So it's a 2 leg up, lift that leg, and then drop down. 2 legs up, shift, and then drop down. Push with 2 legs, lower with 1. Nice. We're transitioning into lying leg lift. So you're going to lie on your side. Really think about using your hip, this hip, upper hip, to lift up and lower. Same time, make sure you're not arching your back. Up and lower. This week, we're not going to use a rotation. I want you actually to point downward and lift. You're going to notice you get a different part of your glute. So keep that toe facing downward. Make sure when you lift up, you don't roll back either. Just lift straight up. Keep that toe pointing down. And switch. Nice. working this outer hip, core is engaged, toe facing downward and lifting. So this muscle group we're working here is on the outer side and kind of towards the hip flexor in the front. It also helps when we contract this, that the piriformis in the back of our glutes have to relax and they open up, especially since we've been sitting a lot. Help stretch out the backside. Keep that toe facing downward. Good. 4 seconds, and we're going to be facing upward on our back. We have windshield wipers. So bring your knees to a 90 degree with your hips, arms out, back engaged, and we're going to drop right and left. Try to keep your shoulders down. Don't let them go with your legs. You can kind of pull your belly button into your spine a little bit. Support your back. Good. Last one, we're going to work our back. So we're going to do a dynamic Superman. So we're going to be lifting our arms and legs simultaneously, and we're going to lift them together, up, and then down. So we're not holding, just lifting up and down. Good, we're going right back to the top. One more set, we have that plank with the shoulder tap. And go. If you want to decrease the rocking, you can make your legs a little bit wider. Good, we're going right into the forearm plank with those hip dips. And this is where you can put your feet a little bit more narrow. You get a little bit more swivel in the hips. Good, we're going to face upward We got that glute bridge. It's dynamic. It's 2 feet up, 1 leg lowering. And go. 2 feet up and lower. 2 feet up. Nice. Next up, we have the lying leg lift. We'll start with our right side. Again, face that toe downward to the floor as we lift. Core is engaged. Put your hand resting on the mat. Try to keep yourself aligned. Good, keep breathing. About 5 seconds and we'll switch. Good, switch around. On your left side, everything's nice and aligned. You're not in a C, hand is supported. Upper leg, you're gonna lift and lower. Toe is pointing downward. Good. And switch into the next exercise. We have the windshield wipers. So lying on our backs, shoulders are engaged with the floor, legs are 90 degrees, and we're going to drop to the right and the left. Good, we have one more exercise. We got those dynamic Supermans. We're going to work our back, face down in the mat. And we're going to lift and lower. Five seconds. Nice. What was that? Fixing my timer. Good. All right, so I set my timer again for the restoration portion. We're gonna focus on our lower legs. So that's our feet, our calves, our shins, and outside of our legs. So ideally, you'll need a foam roller or a tennis ball. This is gonna get those trigger points. I'm gonna be working those areas. And then after we kind of roll things out, we are then gonna move to some form of stretch rope, towel, yoga rope, whatever you have to kind of give some little bit of assistance with the stretch. So first up, grab my, see if that flew away from me. All right, just so I don't get off track. So the first thing we're gonna do is do a foam rollout. Foam roller rollout with the calf. So you can take your shoes off or you can leave them on. I'm going to choose to take them off because I know we're going to be stretching our arch of our foot. So I'm taking my shoes off and we're going to foam roll our left calf. So we're going to do a full rollout for about 50 seconds. So the belly of the calf, we're going to roll back and forth all the way up to the ankle and all the way towards the knee. Roll it out. You're gonna feel some lumps and bumps and maybe a couple knots. So if you find something that's tight, you can stop there. You can relax, you lower your bottom, and you can just rotate that ankle back and forth, clockwise and counterclockwise. And then continue on. And this is where it's important to toe in a little bit, and then you can toe out a little bit. Really work those trigger points, knots, tender spots. Good, and we'll switch. These tend to get really tight when you've been sitting for a long periods of time. There are shock absorbers, so we really want them nice, soft, and supple when we start working out. Again, you find a spot, you can lower your bottom, you can just rotate that ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Good. All the way up to the knee, all the way back. All right, we're going to focus on the soleus. So that's not just the big muscle on top, it's a little bit lower. So you can stay on your bottom and you're going to keep a bent knee. And this is where the bent knee is going to work in your favor to get that soleus, which is just above. You really can get, it tends to get really tight for people just above your ankle bone here. And you want to focus on this band down below. So keep that knee bent and you'll be able to get that soleus muscle a little bit more. And again, you can toe in and toe out, rolling that hip back and forth. And if you find a spot, this is where you can do that ankle roll, keep that knee bent. Good. And then you're going to switch legs, switch to the other side, again, focusing on this lower portion, keep your knee bent. Just roll back and forth. You don't have to go all the way up to the knee, just about halfway. Rotate. So next, I'm going to move to using a tennis ball. You still can use a foam roller if you want. You can use your hand if you want, because we're going to just work the inside and outside of our calves. Good. So we're going to work the outside of our calves with a tennis ball. Goes on the outside, so we go down here, and we're just going to add a little bit of pressure to the outside of our calves. And if you want, you can just sit here. You can just put it in a spot and you can put pressure on it. And then you can manually move the ball and roll your leg. If you find a really good spot, you can add a little pressure with your hand. So here we're working the outside of our lower leg. These are specifically called the peroneal. Oh, perineal, sorry, perineals. All right, other side. Again, the outside of our leg here. Find a tender spot, you can just sit there, lean into it. Use the other hand for a little bit of pressure. Good. Just a real quick side, you always can, if that's too much pressure, you always can take the tennis ball and roll it on the outside of your lower leg. And if you find a spot that is tender, you can just stay there and just mash it with both your hands. All right, so next we're gonna work with our feet. We're gonna do a rollout with our feet. So pick an arch, get it right under the balls of your feet. We're gonna just open and close, open and close, about 5 or 6 times. And then we're just gonna roll back and forth. Let me move back here a little bit. There we go. So open and close. And then rock back and forth. Really working that fibrous fascia that's on the bottom of our foot. That tends to get really tight too when we're sitting a lot and not using our feet. Open and close. And then switch. Let's add that pressure. Open and close. You want it just under those metatarsal heads. Open, close, and then roll back and forth. So again, we're doing this for about 50 seconds on each area of our body. You can do this up to 3 minutes. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a calf stretch with the rope, towel, yoga strap, whatever you have. That's up next. So you want to grab that. All right. So I got a stretch rope, which is basically just a climbing rope. We're going to stretch our calves. So we're going to put this just below our metatarsal heads, and we're going to flex the front of our leg to get our foot to dorsiflex. But then we're going to add a little bit of pressure and then release. So pull, a little tug, and then release. So that little tug should just kind of get you to the end point of the stretch. called active isolated stretching. All right, switch to the other leg. Just below the metatarsal heads, the bottom of your toes, and contract and just a little tug. Just enough so you feel it in the back of your lower leg, which is your calf. And if you want, you can just hold it there, gently hold. If you don't feel like flexing and pointing and flexing and pointing, you just hold and just ever so slightly add some resistance. Kind of your personal preference. Good. So next up, we're going to do our soleus, and you don't need a rope. We're going to actually, I'll go kind of diagonal. We're going to stretch our soleus. So we are going to have a bent knee. We're going to pull up and then a little bit of a tug. Pull and then tug. So right now we are getting this lower third of our leg that tends to get tight from wearing shoes and just sitting. And if you want, you can bend your toes a little bit more. Just bend. Good, and switch. Got an X on it. And you might notice that one side is a little bit more flexible than the other, and that's okay. You just need to get in there and work out the other side. When it's a little bit tighter, just spend a little more TLC there. Good. So we're going to use that rope again. And we are going to do a little bit of stretching on the inside and outside of our foot. So come here, cross one leg over, and you're just going to kind of go back and forth with the rope, just with ever so slightly a little bit of resistance. So you're going to pull your foot inward and outward. So it's a sweeping motion. And at each of the end points, you're just going to kind of give it a little bit of resistance. And switch. Legs are elongated. The active leg we're going to be working is on top. And we're just going to be kind of sweeping our foot back and forth, almost like little windshield wipers. And then just at the end of each movement, just a little bit of resistance. Good. So that's a wrap for the core and restore portion of the third week. Let me X out of this. So this was the third week of restore and record, core and restore for the reNEW program. That's a wrap. I'm going to end recording now.